What's up everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Cosmopolitan Cocktail Club. This is a space where I share with you all the design techniques that I use to create my very own NFT project. Now if you get something out of the content, please hit that like and subscribe button, and in the bio there'll be a link to my Discord server, so jump over there and join that community. Now in today's tutorial we'll be learning about how I created a flower to wither in and then re-bloom. There are a couple of steps involved, but shouldn't take us too long. So without further ado, let's get it! Hey guys, how you doing? Alright, let's get on with this flower. So, first thing we need is a picture of a flower. So let's jump into Photoshop. And I've got one already, so I'm just going to open that up. So something similar to this will work fine. Alright, so let's just make a duplicate of that layer. So I'm just going to drag it down onto this plus. And now we need to isolate the petals and the flower. So remove the extras for the minute, we don't need those. And let's use my quick selection tool to see if we can grab a couple of these petals without having to do it manually. So that's good, that works. We sort of got a bit extra here, so if I hold down the Alt key, I can remove that. Okay, we can just sort of make slight adjustments as when we're done, but let's see if we can get the main flower here. So that's good. Okay, that kind of don't need that, and that's roughly okay, but we also need an extra petal because I want to add another petal in here, so I'm going to grab that from here, this petal. Alright, so let's just get all of that. So let's go edit cut, edit paste, and we'll hide these two layers. The reason I kept a copy of this background layer is in case you do make a mistake, you want to start again, you've still got it there. Alright, so we've got roughly what we need, but we need to sort of clean this up a bit. So let's use the polygonal lasso tool here. And let's clean it up. So I'm just going to get in here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we do want to sort of have it looking a bit neater than this. So let's come around here and remove that. Select, delete, Control D, deselect. There's a little bit in here that I need to clean up. Something like this. Get rid of that. Control D. Get around here, you can see there's lines here, we don't want those. So we'll come around this petal and we will remove that part of it. That didn't work. Let's try that again quickly. I am rushing through it a little bit, but you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, not too bad, that's pretty good. Now we want to get this petal to sit in here. So to do that, let's make that its own layer. So let's just go edit cut, edit paste. Okay, so now we've got its own layer. You know this little hole here, let's fix that as well. So zoom in on that. Get your clone stamp tool here. Okay, hold down the Alt key, select a section just similar to what it would be, so this is fine, and then just colour it in. No harm done. Okay, so now let's move him into position. Problem is, it doesn't really fit, so let's change the size, Control T, and she'll resize it so it's more of a similar size to the other petals. But the other problem is it's not sort of sitting where we kind of, oh, it kind of does, I guess. Well, that would probably work, but if we wanted to sort of make it a little bit bigger and make it go under this petal and over this petal, then what we can do is we can maybe, yep, that's good. But now we want it to come over this petal. So what I'm going to do quickly to get that effect, I'm just going to cut this section of this petal out right. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Edit cut. And I'll paste it straight back in. Now we just slot him in back where he was. But let's now move our layers around a bit. So let's put this underneath. Yeah. Yep, that's it. That's where it needs to be. But there's just a little bit of left over here, so that's coming from that layer there. So we can just rub that out using the eraser tool. Let's try to get on that right layer. It can be a little bit fiddly at times. Okay, just maybe clean that up a bit as well. Bring them back in. Now that's better. You've got sitting underneath this petal here, and then it's above this petal, so it looks like it is actually part of that flower. That is reasonably good. I think that will work for us pretty well. You could just alter things tiny bit here and there, but for what we're looking for, this is going to work fine. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is merge these layers. So click on layer 2, hold down shift and then click layer 4 and right click merge layers. So now we got the flower all together, right? And let's now trim this image to get rid of all the transparency around it. So image, trim transparent pixels, okay. And now we've just got the flower. Perfect, so let's export that, file export. Find your folder. This is flower. We've got one here, I'll make this one too. Perfect, all right, so that's all we needed to do for now in Photoshop. Let's jump over to After Effects. Okay, so now that we're in After Effects, let's create a new composition and let's call this Bloom. 1920 by 1080 will be fine for what we're trying to do for now, so click OK. And let's then bring over our flower image that we just made and put it into the composition. So there it is. Maybe scale it up a tiny bit so we can see what we're doing better. Alright, so how are we going to make this flower go from opened to withering into looking like it's closed, then back to blooming again? Well, to do that, we're going to need this tool. It's called the Puppet tool. Okay, it's this pin icon up here. So let's click on that. And what that will allow us to do is create points on our image, specifically on our petals, that we can then alter, move, and manipulate into different positions. So it's a really effective and cool option that you have with modifying images. Alright, so these are the points we're going to make. We're going to make one at the top of the petal, and then we're going to do two either side and one in the middle. And we're going to go through the flower and do the same thing for each petal. So, if my memory serves me correctly, there should be about, well, there's 6 petals, 4 times 6 is 24. So there should be 24 points when you're all done. So we want it to look something like this. All right, cool. Now, before we start manipulating these points, we need to change a few things. There's one thing that's vital for this effect to work properly, and it's found down here. So let's go down into our timeline area, and you'll notice here under effects we've now got Puppet. So let's drill down into Puppet until we find what we need. So go down to Mesh and then go to Deform, click that arrow, and now you'll see an option for all the pinpoints that we've just created. So we need to change something on all these points for this to work. So what we'll do is we'll click on the top one, hold down the Shift key and click on the bottom one so they're all selected. And now let's open them up. Alright, so this is what we need to change. this option here where it says position. We need to click this drop down arrow and change it to advanced. Now this will change the colors of the pinpoints and it'll look a bit crazy, but it's not going to bother us. Okay, so I'm just going to do that now. Alright, so it's gone to green. We've got all these circles everywhere, but that's okay. That doesn't affect what we need to do. But it does affect how the image is manipulated, and if it's not done with this option, it won't work the way we want it to. Alright, so that's good. So let's now just bring these all back up. And we're going to start here at pin 1. So before we do, what's happened is, when we created these pinpoints, it created a keyframe so that the petals are now keyframed at this position, which is good because we're going to use that again a bit later on. But let's move forward a bit. Let's maybe move forward maybe 2.5 seconds. And now let's bring those petals in so they're sort of folding in on themselves and they're withering in. So it will look like the sun's gone down and they've sort of closed up for the day and they're getting ready for night time. So let's just go around and let's choose the top petal for the top pinpoint for each petal, and let's just fold them into the middle like this. So one there, that's good. Alright, folding them all in. Good. Alright, so now we have keyframed it so that the flower is now in this position. Okay, you could fiddle with it a little bit, but that's okay. Alright, that's going to work fine. Alright, now in my animation that I made, Hawaiian Heaven, which I'll show you now, you'll notice that when the flowers open up, they stay open for a certain amount of time, just maybe a second or two, just because you don't want the flower to kind of close in and then open straight away. You want it to stay closed for a little bit before it opens up. Well, I did anyway, so I'll just show you what that looked like. So here are my flowers down here. So at the moment they're in, so they open up. So I had mine open for a second and then close up. Alright, so what we've got here, we've got it open, then it's closing for a second, then it's opening up. We could have done it the opposite way. Alright, in fact we can do that if we want. So all we need to do in that case is fiddle with these keyframes a little bit. So what I might do, open this up, right, let's move all these closed keyframes. Okay, it's just a bit of a workaround here. So we got that open. So we're going close to open, back to close. Let's move those all just close to here. Now let's grab all these keyframes from the start and we'll put them where these were. Right, and we'll just move these ones right to the edge. So a bit of fiddling, but now you'll have closed to open. Right, let's keep it open for a minute. Okay, so let's highlight all of them. Hold down the shift key so you see they're all open and hit the position keyframe and they stay there. Let's have a look at it. Closed, open, stays there. Right, maybe move them in a tiny bit back this way so they're not open for as long. Stays open. Right, now let's start closing them again. So let's get the closed keyframes at the start. So let's go highlight all of these keyframes. Right, edit, copy. So once you've done the position once, there's no point going and trying to do them all over again. You can just copy the keyframes that you've already made and let's paste those keyframes here. So it should now look like it's going closed. Sun's coming up, opening up, stays opened, and now starts to close. Okay, good. So I hope you understood what I was doing there. When you've got those keyframes, you just want to make sure you get them all, okay? And you can move them around, so it saves you having to sort of fiddle with it again to try to get it back in that same position. Open, stays open, and closes. Okay, so next thing we want to do, we don't want to have our flower as a bird's eye view. Alright, we want to put it somewhere in an animation so it looks like a real flower. So let's do that. So let's close this up for the minute. We don't need to worry about the puppet now, we've done that. That bit's done. And let's click on this 3D option. Okay, let's play around with these settings a little bit with the rotation. So let's go maybe that way. That way, and hold down the shift key and press P for position. We'll bring him up a little bit like that, and even scale him a little bit. Okay, cool. That's gonna work. Just bring him across as well. Yeah, good. That's gonna work for what we're doing. So the next thing we want to do is create a stem for the flower and add some leaves to it. So to make the leaves, we're going to jump back over into Photoshop. I'm going to make a couple of leaves and then I'll show you how to put a stem on the flower and add the leaves. Alright, let's make this leaf. So let's go new file and let's make it 800 by 800 pixels, and that should be plenty of space to work with. I'm going to remove these extras for now, so view extras, just remove them. But what I will do is I'd like just a line in the middle, and we can get one by clicking in our rulers here and dragging into the center as a canvas guide. It will snap in there nicely. Now, if you don't have your rulers visible, to get them you press Control R. Okay, Control R removes them and Control R again brings them back. And from your rulers you can just click in your ruler and drag a canvas guide out into your workspace. So that's nice, that's in the middle. Good, now let's click on our pen tool and I'm going to click one point here at the bottom and then one around here, and I'm just going to drag it until I kind of get a bit of a leafy type shape. So something like that will be good, I think. Yep. And what that's done, it's filled it in, and I had my fill up here already sorted. So if you click in here, that is a gradient fill, okay, that one. And you can change the color. So if I change that to a blue, say, now I've got a blue kind of blended color coming from the top for my gradient, but I wanted it to be green, so let's go back to what it was, because that's more of a leaf color. Now what I'm going to do now, you'll notice when I move my pen on top of this square here, the symbols kind of change a bit. Now I find this tool a bit tricky to sort of get it to do what I want, but this kind of works well. So what I'm going to do is hold down the Alt key when I put my pen tool. You probably can't even see my pen tool on this screen capture, so yeah, I'll have to sort of show you an image of what it looks like. But I put my pen tool on this square and hold the Alt key, and it gives me a greater or less than sign. Greater. What's that sign called? Less than or greater than sign. So what I do now is I click on that square, and that removes one side of the movement bar, I suppose you call it. I'm not sure what you call it. Which now allows me, if I now click down here on this square, it will just complete the image nicely. I'll show you what happens if I don't do that. Okay, and I click down on here. I get this odd sort of strange or abstract kind of thing happen, and that's not what I want to do. So I hold down the Alt key, get that symbol, greater than or less than, click on the square. Now when I click down here, it just finishes it off nicely. Alright, so that was a long roundabout way to sort of explain that, but it is annoying and it is difficult to sort of get the shape you want sometimes. So that's half the leaf already done. What we'll do is we're going to duplicate this layer. So click on shape 1 and press Ctrl J. And now I've got 2 of them, but I don't want the same. I want it facing the opposite direction. So let's go into Edit, Transform, and we'll click Flip Horizontal. Okay. Now don't get confused, because sometimes we'll go to Image and or Layer. There's another one somewhere where you Image Rotation. So if I click this one and I flip it horizontal, it flips the whole image horizontal. We don't want to do that. We just want to flip the one layer. And so that's when you go into Edit, Transform, and Flip Horizontal. That will just flip the one layer. Okay, so now let's position this one where it needs to go. Perfect. All right, so it's almost done already. So let's just add a few things to it. I'm going to put a few little light streaks. So now let's bring back in our canvas, our extras. All right, and I'm going to click on my paintbrush tool. And the color can be this light sort of lime color. Sort of contrast nicely against it. And before I add mini streaks to it, let's just merge these 2 layers. So highlight both the layers and go merge shapes. And also let's rasterize the layer. Okay, not sure why you need to do that, but it just makes it so that you can draw on the image. All right, so now let's firstly put a line right down the center. So zoom in a bit. So if I click a point here right in the middle and I hold down the Shift key, make sure you hold down the Shift key because this will give you a straight line, and I click at the bottom. Okay, I've now created a straight line right down the center of the leaf, as you can see. Now let's do a few other streaks. Let's put one here, and I'll use my grid lines to help me here. So I do the same on the opposite side, holding down the Shift key again between the 2 points. Let's maybe do one here. Click, Shift, hold Shift down, click, and let's do one more. Let's see, maybe just here to here. Yep. All right, cool. Now let's remove those extras and have a look at it. Okay, remove the background. Beautiful, that will work perfectly. So what I'm going to do is again trim it so we don't have any transparent pixels. So image trim. Okay, and file export as quick PNG. I've already got a leaf there, so let's call it leaf 2. Beautiful. All right, let's jump back into After Effects and let's bring that leaf across into our project. Okay, so we've got our leaf. Now before I even use the leaf, I'm going to create a stem for my flower. So let's do that first. So to create the stem, what we're going to do is go up to Layer New, and we're going to go Layer New, and we're going to go Shape Layer. All right. So these settings are important. Up here we want no fill. Okay, so when you're on fill, click on the fill here, and this option here, none. Okay, if you don't have that, so make sure you're clicking on the word fill and then none. And our stroke, right, color, green. And size around 7. You can play around with that a little bit, but I have it at 7. And now make sure we got our pen tool selected as well, because that will allow you to draw a shape that you want. So I'm going to click a point and then click and drag and do that again, something like that. All right, let's have a look at that. Okay, that will be all right. We could change it a little bit, but for now that's fine. So click on that layer, let's rename it stem. And let's position that across where our flower is and bring it underneath. And there it is. Okay, cool. That's okay. I'm pretty happy with that. Could edit it a little bit, but that's okay. Alright, good. Now let's add our leaf. Alright, so bring that leaf down into the project and let's adjust this a little bit. So let's go P for position, hold down the shift key, S for scale, and R for rotation. Okay, let's use all of these to help us. So let's rotate it firstly, scale it down a bit, and now reposition it. Beautiful. Let's duplicate that. So click on leaf, click Control D, and now let's do the same with this one. Position, scale, Shift S, and rotation. Oh, I need to make it too big. Maybe rotation first, yeah. Position. Yeah, cool, nice. Take a little bit as well. There we go. Oh, cool. So now we've added a stem and some leaves on the stem as well, just to add the full picture of what you're trying to create. So if we look at that now, okay, that looks a bit nicer. Now, final thing I'm going to show you, because in my Hawaiian Heaven that I did, I'll just show you that again quickly. You can see I had multiple flowers in mine and they were all different colors. So how can we create multiple flowers with different colors easily? Well, I'll show you how. So let's do this. Let's pre-compose the stem. And what am I trying to do? I'm going to bring this flower up above here because that's not going to affect the position or anything with the leaves. So I want the leaves and the stems to be pre-composed. Okay, because we don't want to alter the color of the stems, we just want to alter the color of the flower. So let's right click those three. So hold down Shift and click on the top and the bottom. Right click pre-compose and just call that stem. Okay, move all attributes. Yep, good. Okay, so now we've got the stem separately. Let's duplicate both those things now. So highlight both of them, press Control D. So now I've got two stems and two flowers. So let's just move this one up above here. And if we hold down the Shift key again, right, this is one way to do it. We could parent it, the stem to this flower, but let's just do it this way. Highlight them both. Press Position, P, move it across. So now we've got two different flowers, okay? Okay, now, not on the stem, but on the flower, we're going to add an effect, the top one. We're going to go into effects and we're going to get an effect called hue, H-U-E, hue saturation. This is a really easy way to change colors of things. I use it all the time. So let's drag that across and drop it down onto our second flower. All you got to do, since wheel, is move this wheel around until you find a color you like. Alright, you can just get any sort of looking color you prefer. And I'm maybe go with this bluey kind of color. So now we've got two flowers and two different colors. So again, in my Hawaiian Heaven, you can see I did four different, how many is that? 5 different flowers. So I did that same process 5 times to get those different colors. And that's as easy as it is. That's all it is, guys. It's once you've done the process once, if you want to duplicate it and create multiple flowers, that becomes really easy, and especially if you want to change colors. All right, so I think that's the whole process from start to finish of how you can make a flower bloom. Let's have a look at it one more time. So it opens up nicely. Okay, stays open, and closes. Sorry my voice is a bit croaky today, guys. I have a bit of a chesty cough, but we got through it. Hope you got something out of that, and yeah, she'll see you in the next tutorial. Well, there it is, guys. I hope you got something out of that one. Another tutorial down. I'm going to keep them coming, but in the meantime, make sure you check out my Beats and Music page. Until next time, peace. See you in the next one.